During a call with her coworker, I heard my girlfriend whisper, "God, I hope he doesn't propose. How do you politely reject a man who pays for your lifestyle?" Her coworker said, "Just marry him, then divorce later and get his money." They laughed. I just closed my screen. This morning she woke up to a disconnected card and an eviction notice. Hey everyone! Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. So I guess I should start at the beginning. Never thought I'd be one of those guys posting their life drama on Reddit, but holy shit do I need to get this off my chest. I, 35 million, met Jessica, 29 feet, about 5 years ago. And what followed was the slowest burning con job I never saw coming, until it was almost too late. A bit about me first. I grew up in a blue-collar family in Michigan. Dad worked at the auto plant for 35 years. Mom was a nurse at the county hospital. They weren't rich by any means, but they busted their asses to put me through college. First one in the family to go. I didn't want to waste their sacrifice, so I studied like crazy, double majored in computer science and cybersecurity, graduated with honors, and landed a job at a financial tech company right out of school. I was always the nerdy kid. Glasses, braces, the whole package. Gaming and coding were my escape growing up in a neighborhood where most guys went straight to the factory after high school. Dating was, let's say, not my strong suit. I had a couple relationships in college that fizzled out, and one serious girlfriend after graduation who cheated on me with her just-a-friend coworker. Typical story. By 30, I had worked my way up to senior cybersecurity analyst, making around $175,000 a year, which in our area is more than enough for a comfortable life. I had my own condo in a nice part of town, bought during the housing crash, one of the smartest moves I ever made. A decent car that was paid off, and a savings account that was looking pretty healthy. Career-wise, things were great. Dating-wise? I'd pretty much resigned myself to being single. Dating apps were a wasteland of ghosting and awkward coffee meetups that went nowhere. Then came the night that changed everything. My company was sponsoring some fancy charity gala for children's cancer research, and my boss strongly suggested that the senior team members attend to represent the company. My buddy Ryan from legal was going too, and he insisted this was the perfect chance to network, which was his code for meeting women outside our tech bubble. "You can't code your way into a relationship, Jason," he'd say. "You need to get out there where actual human females congregate." So there I was, uncomfortable in a rented tux that was slightly too tight around the collar, nursing a soda water and trying to look like I belonged among all these rich people, pretending to care about sick kids for one night a year. That's when I saw her. Jessica was working the event as part of her job with Lux Brand Consulting, some high-end marketing firm that specialized in luxury client experiences, or whatever buzzword they were using that year. She was stunning, like legitimately stop and stare gorgeous. Tall blonde hair that looked professionally styled. It was, I later learned, at $300 per session. Perfect makeup, wearing this elegant black dress that probably cost more than my first car. When she actually approached me, I almost looked behind me to see who she was really coming to talk to. But no, she smiled directly at me, introduced herself, and asked if I was enjoying the event. The conversation flowed surprisingly easily. She asked smart questions about my work, or at least questions that seemed smart at the time. In retrospect, they were carefully crafted to determine my income level and stability. I explained cybersecurity in simple terms, and she seemed genuinely fascinated. When I mentioned my company had recently been featured in Forbes for our innovative approach to financial data protection, her eyes did this thing where they got slightly wider, a look I would later recognize as her "I found a good one" expression. By the end of the night, I had her number. Me, the nerdy guy who still collected vintage video games and went to Comic-Con every year, both facts I strategically omitted during our conversation. I was shocked when she actually answered my text the next day, even more shocked when she agreed to dinner that weekend. Our first date was at this trendy restaurant downtown where the menu had no prices, a detail that should have been my first warning. But when she lit up talking about her work in marketing, her dreams of opening her own boutique someday, and her passion for luxury brand management, I was captivated. Dating Jessica was like being upgraded to first class after a lifetime in coach. She introduced me to fine dining, taught me about wine regions, though I was never really into drinking, showed me how to dress better, and generally pulled me into a world I didn't know existed for regular people like me. She was into all this high-end stuff, designer clothes, exotic vacations, exclusive members-only clubs, things I never cared about before. But seeing how happy it made her to experience that stuff, I started enjoying it too. After about 8 months, she casually mentioned her lease was ending, and her roommate Megan was moving in with her boyfriend. The rent in our city is insane, and her marketing job, while prestigious sounding, paid like shit, around $45,000. She was always complaining about her massive student loans from her luxury brand management degree at some fancy private college that apparently taught her nothing except how to pronounce French designer names correctly. So when she started dropping hints about our relationship taking the next step, it seemed logical. My condo had plenty of space, and I owned it outright thanks to some smart investing during the housing crash. Plus, I was falling hard for this woman who seemed way out of my league, but somehow wanted to be with me. We made this arrangement that seemed fair at the time. I'd cover the housing costs, mortgage was already paid off, but HOA fees, utilities, etc., and she'd handle groceries and her car payment, plus build our savings for the future. She got to keep her fancy job with the cool perks but terrible pay, and I got to come home to this gorgeous woman who seemed to adore me. Looking back now, I can't believe how perfectly she played me from the very beginning. This wasn't a relationship. It was a 5-year heist with my heart and bank account as the targets. For almost 5 years, everything seemed great between us. I got promoted twice, each time with a significant salary bump, and each time Jessica was there looking proud as hell at the office parties. We went on these luxury vacations that I paid for 100%, including her shopping sprees, to places I'd only seen on Instagram before: Bali, Santorini, the Amalfi Coast. She always needed a new wardrobe for each trip, of course. You can't wear the same outfit twice on Instagram, Jason. People notice these things. We hosted elaborate dinner parties where all our friends would come over. Mostly her friends, thinking back now. She'd spend days planning the perfect menu, decorations, and outfit, ordering everything on my credit card because it's for US, for our social life. Towards our 5th year together, we were even starting to talk about marriage. Like, actually planning it. I was secretly saving up for an engagement ring, thinking about proposing when we went to Bali next month. Had it all planned out. Private beach dinner. Photographer hidden nearby. The whole $25,000 romantic vacation package I'd been paying toward in installments for 6 months. Our daily routines seemed perfect on the surface. She claimed to be an amazing cook, but actually only made Instagram-worthy meals when her friends were coming over. Other nights it was takeout, or me cooking while she was too tired from work. But I didn't mind. Her job was demanding, with lots of evening client events and weekend brand activations. Weekends were spent at expensive brunches with her friends Megan and Qley, both also dating successful guys, shopping trips where I'd somehow end up carrying the bags, or social events where she'd parade me around to her coworkers like some prize stallion. This is Jason. He works in cybersecurity for financial companies, always with the emphasis on the parts that signaled money. Looking back, there were signs everywhere, like how she'd get super affectionate after I bought her something expensive, or how she'd text me cute messages right before mentioning her car needed repairs, or she saw a purse she needed for work events, or how she'd suddenly be in the mood for sex right after I mentioned being stressed about finances. But hey, the sex was great when it happened, so I didn't think too much about the timing patterns. One thing I truly loved was how she seemed to fit in so well with my family. My parents adored her. She always brought my mom these little thoughtful gifts when we visited, and she'd talk sports with my dad even though I later discovered she couldn't tell a touchdown from a home run. My sister Diane was the only one who ever raised an eyebrow, once asking me privately if Jessica ever paid for anything. I brushed it off as Diane being jealous of our relationship. She was going through a divorce at the time and was pretty bitter about relationships in general. "Have you noticed she only posts photos of the expensive stuff you buy her?" Diane asked me once. "Her Instagram is basically, look what Jason got me every other day." "That's not fair," I defended. "She's just excited about our life together." Diane just gave me this look, the same look she gave me when I was 10, and insisted the obviously fake Pokemon card I bought from a kid at school was totally authentic. I was saving like crazy for our future, had put aside almost $35,000 for the ring and wedding, and was looking at upgrading to a larger house in the prestigious neighborhoods she was always casually driving us through on weekends. "Just imagine us in a place like this," she'd sigh, pointing to some $1.2 million house. "We'd finally have room for a proper closet for all my things." My buddy Ryan kept joking that I was simping hard, but I thought I was just being a good boyfriend. My other friend Miguel would sometimes give me this look when Jessica would jokingly call me her personal ATM in front of our friends, but I laughed it off. When you're in deep, You don't see the red flags for what they are. Guess that's what happens when you're blinded by a pretty face and the fantasy of finally landing the hot girl. You're bound to crash and burn eventually. Last Thursday changed everything. I'd been working from home in the spare bedroom I use as an office. I'd been pulling 12-hour days trying to contain a potential security breach for one of our biggest clients. My eyes were burning from staring at code all day. My back was stiff, and I was surviving on protein bars and energy drinks that I kept stashed in my desk drawer. Jessica was supposed to be at some product launch event, but she called in sick. Translation, didn't feel like going because her ex-coworker she hated got promoted to run it. She'd been lounging around the condo all day, doing her nails, watching reality TV, and ordering delivery on my credit card. I had my noise-canceling headphones on, deep into tracing this intrusion attempt, when I realized I needed to ask Jessica about her parents visiting next weekend. I took off my headphones and was heading to the living room when I heard her on the phone, talking in this weird, hushed tone, even though she thought I couldn't hear through my headphones. She was sprawled on our $4,000 couch, that I paid for, with a face mask on, having what sounded like a very intimate conversation with her best friend Qley. So he mentioned Bali might be where he proposes, I heard her say. God, I hope he doesn't do it before I hit my target number. How do you politely reject a man who pays your entire fucking life without losing the gravy train? I froze in the hallway, just out of sight. My brain couldn't process what I was hearing. Qley must have said something funny because Jessica let out that fake, high-pitched laugh she does around her rich friends. Seriously though, Kai, Tom's strategy is genius. Marry rich, wait 2 years, divorce, take half. She got the Malibu house and the investments. They both cackled like witches, and Jessica continued, I know, right? But I'm not ready for all that yet. Especially not with Jason. He's nice enough, but so fucking boring. Like, the most interesting thing about him is his credit score. Did I tell you he actually tried to explain blockchain to me last week? I almost died of boredom. Boring. Fucking boring. That's what 5 years of supporting her ungrateful ass got me. But that credit score pays for your lifestyle, Qley pointed out. Exactly, Jessica agreed, adjusting her face mask. That's literally the only reason I've stayed this long. My savings account is almost at $150,000, and my investment portfolio is looking sweet. Another 8 months, max, and I'll have enough to open that boutique with you and Megan. I just need to keep him thinking I'm all in on this relationship without actually getting engaged. If he puts a ring on it, I'm screwed. Does he suspect anything? Qley asked. God, no, Jessica snorted. He's completely clueless. Such a fucking simp. Last month he was showing me house listings and talking about which rooms would be good for future kids. I just nodded and pretended to care while actually calculating how many more of his bonuses I need to siphon off before I can get my own place in the city. Men are so easy to manipulate. Just throw them some pussy once in a while and act impressed by their boring tech talk. What about Greg? Qley asked, and my blood ran even colder. Greg's just fun on the side, Jessica said dismissively. Good dick, but no money. I only see him when Jason's on his business trips. Speaking of which, Jason's going to Chicago next week for that cybersecurity conference. Greg's already booked for Tuesday. She was fucking cheating too? With some guy named Greg? You're my hero, Qley laughed. Oh shit, Todd's calling. Probably wants to know where his credit card is. Later, bitch. Later, slut, Jessica replied, then hung up. I silently backed away to my office and closed the door. I felt like I was going to throw up. 5 fucking years. 5 years of what I thought was a loving relationship. And she was just using me as an ATM while literally cheating on me and planning her exit strategy. The worst part wasn't even the cheating. It was the cold, calculated way she talked about me. Like I was this pathetic, boring ATM she had to tolerate for financial gain. All those times I thought she was looking at me with love, she was looking at me like a bank account with legs. I sat at my desk, staring blankly at my screens but seeing nothing. My hands were shaking so badly I couldn't type. 5 years of memories were replaying in my head. All of them tainted now. Every I love you from her lips was a lie. Every time she called me her amazing man on Instagram was just part of her cover story. Every plan we'd made for our future was just her buying time until she could afford to leave. And the plans for Bali? The $25,000 trip I was paying for? The romantic proposal I'd been planning for months? She knew it was coming and was already planning how to reject me without losing her meal ticket. I have never felt so stupid, so used, so utterly worthless as I did in that moment. I didn't confront her right away, didn't storm out, didn't smash her phone out of her hand like I wanted to. I just sat at my desk staring at my screen, shaking with rage but trying to think clearly. My mind went through every memory of our relationship, seeing them in this horrible new light. All those times she changed the subject when I brought up marriage timelines. Not because she was not traditional like she claimed, but because she already had her exit planned. The way she'd suddenly want sex after I bought her jewelry? Not passion, but calculated manipulation. How she'd never let me get close to her coworkers, except the ones in serious relationships. Because I was temporary. A fucking financial plan and living arrangement. Not a partner. When she came to check on me a few hours later, I pretended everything was fine. Just tired from work. She suggested we order from the expensive sushi place I liked. My credit card, of course. And I agreed, just to keep things normal. We ate dinner together, watched some reality show she liked, and went to bed like any other night. But I didn't sleep a single minute. Instead, I laid there next to her, watching her sleeping peacefully after betraying me so completely. And I made a plan. Not just any plan. A fucking masterpiece of calculated justice. The next morning, I woke up early and called my sister Diane. She's always been the practical one in the family, and I knew I could trust her. I told her everything I'd heard and swore her to secrecy from our parents. "I've been telling you for years she's a gold-digging bitch," was Diane's immediate response. "What do you need from me?" With Diane on board, I got to work. First, I contacted my bank and all my credit card companies. I had added Jessica as an authorized user on 3 of my premium cards for emergencies and household expenses. I immediately had her removed and requested new cards with different numbers. I moved most of my money to a new account at a different bank, leaving just enough in our joint account to avoid suspicion. Next, I called Ryan, who's a lawyer specializing in digital forensics. "I need to legally document everything," I told him, including possibly catching her cheating. Ryan was shocked but immediately helpful, outlining what evidence would be admissible if things got ugly. He also helped me draft some documents I'd need later. "You're lucky you never married her," Ryan said grimly. This would be a whole different ballgame if there was a legal entanglement. I then contacted a private investigator that Ryan recommended, a retired cop named Frank who specialized in infidelity cases. It was expensive but worth every penny. I also reached out to Miguel, who works in real estate, to start quietly looking at apartments for myself in case I needed to move quickly. The hardest part was acting normal for the next week. We went through our usual routines. Me working, her spending my money and planning her betrayal, while I swallowed my feelings and collected evidence. She never suspected anything was wrong, too absorbed in her own schemes to notice the subtle changes in my behavior. Once, she even asked if we could increase her personal spending allowance. Yes, she actually called it that, because her friend Megan got a new Chanel bag. I just smiled and said we'd figure something out. "You're the best!" she squealed, kissing me on the cheek. "That's why I love you so much." The words made my skin crawl now. During that week, I discovered just how deep her deception went. The separate savings account she'd mentioned to Qley? It wasn't just one account. She had 3 separate accounts I never knew about. She'd been systematically skimming money from our joint account, claiming certain bills were higher than they actually were, and pocketing the difference. She had credit cards I didn't know about, with balances she was paying off using my money. The most sickening discovery came when I found her exit plan spreadsheet on her laptop while she was at a client dinner, which Frank confirmed was actually a meetup with Greg at a hotel downtown. The spreadsheet detailed exactly how much money she needed to save before leaving me, with projections based on my expected salary increases and bonuses. She had it all planned out to the dollar, right down to a final shopping spree, using my credit cards before disappearing from my life. My name was literally in a cell next to a dollar amount. Jason, target extraction, $225,000. I was nothing but a financial plan with a dick attached. The following Tuesday, Jessica gleefully reminded me about my upcoming Chicago trip. "I'll miss you so much, babe," she said, kissing me goodbye, while I pretended not to know she was already texting Greg to come over. As soon as I left, Frank the PI was in position. I didn't actually go to Chicago. Instead, I checked into a hotel across town and waited. Within hours, Frank texted me photos of some douchebag in a Mustang pulling into my driveway. The cameras I'd hidden around the house, with Ryan's legal guidance, captured everything. Jessica greeting him with a kiss, leading him to our bedroom, and the two of them going at it on the expensive mattress I'd bought when Jessica claimed the old one hurt her back. What made it even sweeter? They talked during and after. The cameras caught Jessica telling Greg how stupid I was, how she was just using me until she had enough money saved, and even showing him her secret exit plan spreadsheet on her laptop. "Jason's going to propose in Bali," she told Greg, while lounging naked in my bed. "I'll probably have to say yes, then find a way to push the wedding back until I hit my goal." Why not just marry him, then divorce his ass and take half? Greg suggested, helping himself to my expensive imported water. My friend's husband had this insane prenup, Jessica explained. I bet Jason's nerdy ass would do the same. Better to keep stringing him along while I build my own safety net. Besides, marriage sounds awful. Who wants to fuck the same boring guy forever? The rage I felt watching this was indescribable, but the evidence was pure gold. While this was happening, I wasn't idle. With Ryan's help, I documented everything. The $150,000 she claimed to have saved? Turns out it was closer to $210,000, all while claiming she could barely contribute to our expenses because of her student loans. I gathered bank statements showing my contributions to our life versus hers, approximately 95% me, 5% her. I documented the purchases I'd made for her over 5 years. The designer bags, the jewelry, the first-class vacations, the car I helped her buy. Most importantly, I gathered evidence of her plan. The spreadsheet was real. It showed a detailed exit strategy, including how much she needed from each of my salary increases and bonuses, projected dates for leaving based on financial milestones, and even notes about keeping me sexually satisfied enough to avoid suspicion. There was even a tab labeled Jason's replacement options, with a list of wealthier men she'd met through work, with notes on their net worth, relationship status, and accessibility. I was literally a stepping stone to an even richer guy in her grand plan. By Thursday, I had everything I needed. I contacted the condo board and my lawyer to make sure I was on solid legal ground, then set my trap. On Friday, Jessica mentioned her friends wanted to do a girls' weekend at a spa. It's expensive, she pouted, but Megan's boyfriend is paying for her, and Qley's husband is covering hers. Say no more, I smiled, handing her my credit card. You deserve it, babe. Get the full package. Her eyes lit up with dollar signs as she kissed me. You're the best. I promise I'll make it up to you when I get back. I bet you will, I thought. While she was gone, I executed my plan. I didn't just pack up my stuff. I completely transformed our living space. I hired movers who worked with divorce situations to carefully remove everything I had paid for, which was about 90% of our furnishings. The expensive couch? Gone. The 85-inch TV? Gone. The luxury kitchen appliances she showed off on Instagram? Gone. I left her clothes and personal items neatly arranged, but removed every gift I'd ever bought her worth over $100, which again was legally mine. This included the everyday diamond earrings, the designer handbags, the limited edition makeup collections, and everything else she'd manipulated out of me over the years. I called all the utilities and either canceled them or switched them to minimum service plans. I left her access to the condo, as legally required, but changed all the keypad codes and replaced the fancy smart home system with basic controls. On the kitchen counter, I left a large manila envelope with her name on it. Inside was a USB drive and a letter. Jessica, by now you've noticed some changes to our living arrangement. Please review the contents of the attached USB drive before contacting me. Jason. The USB contained neatly organized folders, videos of her with Greg in our home, screenshots of her exit strategy, spreadsheet audio recordings of her conversations with Qley, plotting to use me financial documentation of my contributions versus hers. A legally reviewed letter from my attorney outlining what she was legally entitled to, virtually nothing. I drove to Ryan's lake house and waited. I knew exactly how this would play out. At 8:47 p.m. Sunday evening, my phone exploded. Jessica had returned from her spa weekend, where she'd spent $3,400 of my money in just 2 days, to find our home transformed and the evidence of her betrayal waiting for her. The notifications were a thing of beauty. 26 missed calls, 18 voicemails, 64 text messages, 4 emails, including one with the subject, "Please, I can explain." Ryan, Miguel, and I sat on the deck, drinking sodas and reading the messages aloud as they poured in, each more desperate than the last. First came shock. What the fuck, Jason? Where is all our stuff? Then came the anger. You can't just take everything. This is illegal. I'm calling the police. She did call the police, who explained that since I owned the property and all the items I removed, no crime had been committed. Next came the damage control. Baby, please, the video isn't what it looks like. Greg is just a friend who was helping me plan a surprise for you. When that didn't work, she tried to minimize. Okay, fine. I made a mistake with Greg, but that spreadsheet was just a budgeting exercise my financial advisor suggested. I love you. Finally, the truth emerged, along with the panic. Jason, please. I have $3,219 in my checking account and $210,000 tied up in investments with penalties. My car payment is due tomorrow. The HOA bill came. There's no food in the fridge. The internet is so slow I can't even stream. Please call me. There it is, Ryan said, raising his can of soda. Not I miss you or I love you. Straight to the money. Other messages came in from her circle. Qley. Jason, be reasonable. Everyone says things they don't mean sometimes. Megan. You're making a huge mistake. Jessica is the best thing that ever happened to you. Even this Greg asshole. Hey man, it was just physical. She doesn't even like me. Deleted without response. The most surprising call came from Jessica's mother, Linda, who I'd always thought was a sweet woman. Jason, whatever Jessica did, you need to forgive her. She was raised to expect a certain lifestyle. You can't just cut her off like this. I let most go to voicemail, but I did pick up when Jessica's father, Robert, called. Unlike his wife and daughter, Robert had always seemed uncomfortable with Jessica's entitled attitude. Jason, he said when I answered, I'm not calling to defend her. I just want to know, is what she told us true? About the videos and the other man? Yes, sir, it is, I responded. And about her plans to use me until she'd saved enough to leave. There was a long silence. I raised her better than this, he finally said. I'm sorry, son. That hit me hard. The disappointment in his voice was palpable. By Monday morning, Jessica was in full meltdown mode. I'm going to lose my car. The HOA is threatening to fine me for having trash outside. My credit card was declined at Starbucks. Starbucks, Jason. Each message showed her true colors more clearly. The facade of the loving girlfriend was completely gone, replaced by the true Jessica, entitled, spoiled, and furious that her gravy train had suddenly derailed. The days passed, and her messages evolved from angry to desperate. I had to sell my Gucci bag for half what it's worth just to make my car payment. My phone bill is due and I have nothing in my account. I'm eating ramen noodles like a fucking college student. My investments have early withdrawal penalties. I can't access the money without losing thousands. I didn't respond to any of it. Part of me wanted to reply with something cutting and cruel, but Ryan advised against it. Everything you say or write can be used in court if she tries to sue you, he reminded me. The best revenge is silence. He was right, of course. My silence was driving her absolutely insane. On Wednesday, she left me a sobbing voicemail. Jason, please, I know I fucked up. I know what I did was wrong, but we had 5 years together. Doesn't that mean anything to you? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please just talk to me. For a moment, my resolve wavered. 5 years is a long time to share your life with someone. But then I remembered her laughing with Greg in our bed, calling me boring, planning her escape while spending my money. The next day, Diane came over to Ryan's lake house with a printout of Jessica's Instagram. While her text messages to me were desperate and apologetic, her social media told a different story. She'd posted pictures of herself looking sad but glamorous, with captions like, sometimes people change and forget to tell each other. Asha betrayed, Ashok heartbroken. Finding my strength in the darkest times, warrior, Dasher survivor. She was trying to spin the narrative, making it look like I was the one who had wronged her. The comments were full of supportive messages from people who had no idea what had really happened. See, Diane said, she's still manipulating, still putting on a show. Nothing about her is real. 2 weeks after Jessica found her world upside down, her tactics changed again. She showed up at my office, making a scene in the lobby until security escorted her out. She tried to contact me through mutual friends, former coworkers, even my distant relatives she found on Facebook. Her desperation reached new heights when she created a GoFundMe page titled, Abandoned and Betrayed, Help Me Get Back on My Feet. The page included a heavily edited version of our story, painting herself as a loving girlfriend whose partner of 5 years suddenly cleaned out their home and left her destitute. Ryan's law firm sent her a cease and desist letter, threatening legal action if she didn't take down the fraudulent fundraiser and stop spreading lies about me. The page disappeared within hours. It's been 6 weeks since Jessica's life imploded, and I'm sitting in my new downtown condo, thanks Miguel, enjoying the view with a sparkling water. The fallout has been even more satisfying than I expected. First, Jessica lost her job. Turns out her boss at the luxury marketing firm had been looking for a reason to fire her entitled ass for months. When Jessica had a complete meltdown at work, screaming about how her stupid boyfriend ruined everything, then threw a $700 promotional handbag at an intern, they finally had cause. Security escorted her out while she sobbed about how she needed this job more than ever now. Her precious investment portfolio, mostly tied up in high-penalty funds that her financial advisor, who turned out to be her cousin with an online certificate, had recommended. When she tried to liquidate everything in a panic, she lost about 35% to penalties and taxes. Her cushion deflated real quick. The cherry on top came from an unexpected source. Remember Ryan, my lawyer buddy? He casually mentioned our situation to a partner at his firm who specializes in fraud cases. Turns out Jessica's exit strategy spreadsheet, where she documented plans to extract money from me under false pretenses, potentially constituted fraud. The fact that she discussed it with multiple people made it conspiracy to commit fraud. I didn't press charges, I'm not that vindictive, but Ryan sent her a letter on his firm's letterhead outlining the potential legal consequences if she continued to harass me or attempted any form of retaliation. She went radio silent for 3 whole days after that. Then the begging started. First via text. Jason, please, I have nowhere to go. Can we talk about this like adults? Then through friends, Megan called to tell me Jessica was sleeping on her couch and really struggling and truly sorry. I just laughed and hung up. Then through family, Jessica's mom called my parents, who I'd finally told everything with evidence, crying about how her daughter was in a very dark place and made one mistake. My dad, bless him, said, "Sounds like she made about 5 years of mistakes," and hung up. The most pathetic attempt came last Tuesday. I was leaving work when I found Jessica sitting on the hood of my car in the parking garage. She'd lost weight, her designer clothes replaced by jeans and a plain sweater, makeup free and looking actually human for once. "Please," she sobbed as soon as she saw me. "I have nothing, Jason. Nothing. The condo association is evicting me. My car got repossessed yesterday. I had to sell my bags and jewelry just to eat. I fucked up. I know I fucked up so bad. Please just help me get back on my feet. I'll sign whatever you want. I'll do anything." For a split second, I almost felt sorry for her. Then I remembered her naked in our bed with Greg, laughing about what a boring simp I was, planning how to extract maximum money from me before discarding me. "Anything?" I asked, stepping closer. Her eyes lit up with hope. "Yes! Anything! I've learned my lesson, I swear." I leaned in, close enough to smell the desperation on her. "Then get the fuck off my car and out of my life." Her face crumpled as I got in and drove away, watching her shrink in my rearview mirror. Through the grapevine, mostly Robert, who calls occasionally to check on me, I heard Jessica eventually moved back to her hometown to live with her parents. Her mom had to come get her because she couldn't even afford the bus ticket. Qley and Megan ghosted her once they realized she couldn't contribute to their brunches or spa days anymore. Greg apparently blocked her number after she kept calling him for money. As for me, the $35,000 I'd saved for her engagement ring went toward a down payment on my dream car I'd always wanted, but Jessica had vetoed as not fitting our image. I've reconnected with friends I'd lost touch with because Jessica thought they were beneath our social circle. I even started dating again. Nothing serious, just enjoying meeting women who actually pay for their own coffee sometimes. Diane stops by regularly with home-cooked meals, reminding me that not all women are gold-digging harpies like Jessica. Ryan, Miguel, and I hang out on weekends, something Jessica always complained about because it took attention away from her. My new place has minimal furniture, just what I need, nothing for show. My accounts are growing since I'm not bankrolling someone else's secret escape fund. I sleep soundly every night knowing that while Jessica got 5 years and thousands of dollars from me, she didn't get what she really wanted: financial security on my dime for the rest of her life. The most valuable thing I gained from all this? The knowledge that I'm not someone's meal ticket or ATM. I deserve better, and now I know exactly what red flags to watch for. Jessica thought I was boring and beige? Maybe. But this boring beige guy was smart enough to catch her, strong enough to leave her, and savage enough to make sure she'll remember the lesson for the rest of her life. Update, 3 days later. Holy shit, guys, she just reached out again. This time with a long email about how she's changed and realized what truly matters in life. Apparently, her parents are making her get a job at the local mall food court, and she can't handle it. She actually wrote, "I wasn't meant for this kind of life, Jason. I was meant for more." The audacity of this woman is unbelievable. Blocked. Edit. Holy shit, this blew up. Thanks for all the support. To address some common questions. 1. Yes, this is all legal. I consulted multiple lawyers before doing anything. 2. No, I don't feel bad for her. She made calculated decisions for years. This wasn't a one-time mistake. 3. For those saying I'm heartless, maybe, but she was soulless. We're even. 4. To the bros sending DMs about similar experiences, hang in there. Know your worth. 5. To the women saying not all women, I know. My sister and mom have been amazing through this. It's not about gender, it's about character.